Good morning. Today we're going to do a quick check-in on XRP and the Sigma coin. So we completed our 5-wave move to the downside for our wave A late last night. So we've got that finished. And now we're going to be working through our wave B correction here. And then ultimately up to, my suspicion is that we complete this up here fairly quick. And then up to the Fed meeting, somewhere in this range, we should be able to work our way down for the C leg, giving us this level of 284 that we should be able to backtest to close this little gap right here. So let's use a couple quick methods of how we know where we're going. So first off, let's check in on the A wave, and then we'll kind of put that to bed. So the A wave, we had our measured move for our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So last night we ended up having a zigzag pattern into that A wave, and into that zigzag pattern we completed it, and then a big dump and flush all through the middle of the night last night. So so that's now done for wave 4, and then this wave 5, we had a couple targets here. We were expecting 298, and that's why we actually put all my short buyback orders in at this level right here. And we actually went further. We came down to this 295 region, and there's this illiquid wick over here on the Coinbase charts that had actually pointed out that we might even tag into. And that a liquid wick, sure enough, was hit and closed last night for the completion of the A. When we take this measurement tool and we pull it back to where we were up here, you can see that this is also very close to the 618 level, but the real alpha was just measuring this wave 1, and this wave 5 ended up being the equivalent of this 1.236 leg. So pretty aggressive breakdown late last night to sweep those longs. So this area of interest is now closed, so that's where we flipped to the I bought back the spot, and now we're going to be working on reselling the spot. So let's talk about this next B wave here and what we can expect. Okay, so B wave can be quick, can be a zigzag, and what we're looking for is a zigzag pattern. So we're actually already kind of getting it. That's pretty fast. I may have to jump in and do some stuff, but this zigzag pattern can be very quick, and what we're ultimately looking for is that wave B on a zigzag can actually come in, and it needs to at least hit 382% of the move. Somewhere between the 382 and the 0.5 is where you can expect a B wave to go back to of wave A. So the fact that we're already there is going to mean I'm going to probably have to close out my spot position and start looking to short here. But this was a pretty fast. I didn't expect it to be this quick of a move, but that's kind of the area of interest that you want to do. So wave B is most likely to retrace between about 50. Actually, it's 30. It's actually a bigger box. I apologize. It's anywhere up to this 618 to 382 region. This is the whole area of interest to start looking for a short. Okay, so we're going to be looking then in this region here for this local move, and let's get rid of this guy because it's now gone. Goodbye. All right, so in this region we can see a couple confluences. So the 0.5 actually has a fib already to it at the 382 of the larger degree level that we're looking at, and in this local move that we just measured, the 618 has some supply that is probably going to be fairly large resistance with a little bit of a gap right here. So we're going to grab our little fixed range volume profile tool, and we're going to stick it right here at the top of the region and run it across, and lo and behold, there's our gap right there, right at the 0.5. So I'm thinking that's probably our main area of target, and we're going to be doing this in a 5-wave move, a 3-wave move, and then a 5-wave move again. So we can expect that this ABC will probably play out something like this and move up to that region, get that retrace back over with, exit out of your spot positioning, and start your short again, and then we can start working on this breakdown. How long this is going to take is going to be very interesting, and maybe if this does go much faster and we end up having this kind of move for the C leg, what I was surmising maybe after the Fed meeting could in fact actually be at and to the Fed meeting is where we bottom out with a de-risking and then a full reversal risk on behavior. So that's kind of intriguing because here's our Fed meeting that we're expecting to come up here pretty soon. So in the afternoon. And so yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at here at this moment. So now it's just a quick snipe, grab this, grab spot, close out the short, wait for this ABC to complete. We have a volume gap right here, a measured move at a 0.5, and also a an area of this fib right here. And then lastly, let's take one more measurement and just kind of see if we can get some confluence here. So this is where we're expecting to go down to based off of the other TA and the larger volume profile that we have. if we do in fact make this partner leg happen here, lo and behold, our equal one leg takes us right into that area. So yeah, this is probably the area of interest. Yeah, I'm thinking this level right here, the 3.8, this 3.8, let me zoom out so you can see it. We have quite a few confluences here. We have this 3.82 of the full measured move for a back test. We have an ABC measured move that could take us up there. We have a volume profile gap that could wick into the higher levels, and a measured move of an ABC would take us down to this 283 level, which would close this gap right here. So yeah, this can all happen extremely quickly up to the Fed meeting, a little bit beyond maybe right there, just to kind of give this proportional evenness to both of these counts. So yeah, so I'll be shorting right up in this region, exiting spot, and then reaccumulating spot down in this region with this short playing out here at this level. So yeah, man, that really does look like that's the spot. So all right, so we'll be checking into as we progress, but that's how I'm looking at this price action. Now with that, which is intriguing because it's going to be a quick flush, much faster than I was thinking last night, we have a couple other things of confluence. So jumping over to the XRP Bitcoin dominance chart, you can see that we've actually already completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, and we have a quick ABC up that might play out, and then maybe another quick 5 waves down to finish out this larger gap close on the dominance. So when we zoom out on this, you can see we've completed an entire triangle pattern, a breakout of that triangle, and a back test as XRP then outperforms Bitcoin in market cap dominance going forward from the Fed meeting. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. And then we also have the overall Bitcoin dominance getting ready to flush again. At least that's what it looks like. We broke down out of the range that we were at through this trend line, broke down, grinded all of our way back up again, and now we're getting ready to close lower on it still. So I think Bitcoin dominance breakdown is still playing, and we might have yet again another opportunity for this to roll over on itself and complete a larger 5-wave move to the downside, which is right now I'm thinking that's what we're doing. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this 5 would take us down to this region, dropping us to a 54% level, which would actually fall below this level here, which would be a very big potential alt season that would play out here through the month of October, November, depending on how long it takes to roll down. So and then lastly, our meme coins. So here's Sigma, and Sigma had its bounce off the 886, a 5-wave move to the upside, and in this local move, you can see we've actually come all the way back down to the 618. There's a 702 mid-range here, which is not showing, so we'll stick that onto the chart real quick, and the lower levels as well that could still play out to the downside. So with the with these targets in mind, you can, oh yeah, there you go, look at that. With these targets in mind, you can see that accumulation is probably occurring. There is one little gap that would get us back down to an 886 back test. So it looks like we're just kind of waiting for the small little area to kind of play out, and then depending on how long that takes, we could definitely see some massive accumulation all through this region down here. And then finally, if we lose the 1.23 million and start heading lower, you have a downside risk where you can exit of 13%. So that's kind of how I think of things. Like, right, if we start at the top of the range, well, now you've got a 28% potential upside downness. But if you go here and you start buying in this region, you have a 13, you have a 11, you have an 8, a 9. You know, if you get that, again, it's a 6% risk downside potential before we lose this low. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So really, it's not too bad. And then you can just always de-risk, see how price action plays lower if it continues. But I really think 1.23 million, that's pretty hilarious that it's that small. So, but yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at as far as the measured moves to the downside and everything else that we've got playing out on Sigma. And again, of course, we're still looking great on the 3-day, just grinding higher. So definitely bullish, and I think this wick may in fact be very fast now that I'm looking at the XRP chart as we recap back to how quickly could we see this breakdown. And this breakdown may in fact, on the zoomed in time frames, play out extremely fast, where we exit out here at this 306 target area with an ABC correction to the upside, and then we finish out down here at the 243 level with a lower price here into the Fed meeting, and then we're done and we can get all out of here. So Definitely going to be pretty interesting to see how fast this plays, but that's kind of how the TA is looking at this point. So we'll check in tomorrow, and thanks so much for watching.